Hey everyone, I know it's been a while. I was kind of busy graduating film school, so everything you're about to hear in this video is by someone who has a degree in film now. And guess what? Movie I'm going to talk about first with this degree, 2024's Tarot. In this video, I'll cover why I liked Tarot and think it's a good movie, why tarot is important to us as a society, and 3, why tarot is important to the business of Hollywood. So let's jump right into it. First, let me explain why I think it's a good movie. The main reason is the pacing. It starts with a college friend group renting a house, and within the first 5 to 10 minutes of the movie, they find the deck of tarot cards. Now, if this was, I don't know, say, a Blumhouse movie, it would probably be about a little girl who just lost one of her parents, and now she has to live with a step-parent in a new house that has been acquired, and she stumbles upon a deck of tarot cards in the attic around the 30 to 40 minute mark. And then scary things might happen every 20 minutes or so until the big, climactic last 15 minutes where stuff actually gets scary. But no, in this movie, we find the tarot cards fast, they immediately read everyone's horoscopes, and bam, the first death happens, and we're right in it. You can talk about the cringy dialogue all you want, but you cannot take away the incredible pacing of this movie. The second thing that I found very effective was the kills. Now, for a PG-13 movie, which we'll get back to later, the kills were actually very effective and scary, might I say. They were also creative with different monsters for each one. I really enjoyed the hangman scene, which is in the trailer, and I thought that was very well done. And the magician scene specifically, it was a very clever workaround for not having to show blood, but still it plays on this fear of claustrophobia, and it's still very gory. And speaking of gore, there's the attic ladder scene, which is also in the trailer. That one actually doesn't leave that much up to the imagination. They show quite a lot of it without having that R rating, like blood splashy gore. I thought the kills were great for a PG-13 movie. And again, each one very different, each one a different monster, some with practical costumes. Like in the Joker scene, he's changing faces, it's in an elevator, it's great suspense, and it's an actual guy just in a costume. That's how they filmed it. Practical, which is great. And of course, there is CGI used. It's not all practical, but the practical that was there, I thought looked really good. And lastly, this movie just knows what it is. It is slightly self-aware, like Jacob Batalon, who he himself is self-aware that he's in the movie Tarot, and so he really cheeses up his dialogue. He has some of the funniest line reads I've ever heard in the past 10 years, probably ever. He's so funny and self-aware that he knows he's in this movie and really cheeses it up. But also, the movie itself is aware that you, the audience member, have paid to see a movie about tarot things coming to life and killing people based on the horoscopes. And that's exactly what happens from minute 1, as I was saying about the pacing. It doesn't string you along. There's no other subplots about family or step parents or needing the house we grew up in is gonna be sold no, there's nothing like that. It's purely what you paid for, what's in the trailer, and I really appreciated that. It knows exactly what it is, a slasher movie with tarot creatures, and it's great. Little strobing red light here. I acknowledge all of its flaws. I understand what people are saying who rate it very low and do not like this movie. I understand. In my opinion, it's a so bad it's good movie, which personally I have qualms about that expression, which honestly I can make a whole video about of itself, and maybe I will. But for now, let's just simplify it and call it a so bad it's good movie, okay? Now let's move on to why this movie matters to us as a society. If you know me, you know that I don't like to bash on movies on this channel. I like to uplift them and celebrate them. So all I'll say is movies like Night Swim or Imaginary are not so bad it's good movies. That's all I'll say. Tarot is one of those. And what do all three of those movies have in common? They're rated PG-13. PG-13 horror movies are very hard to come across nowadays, and I think the teen market is severely underrepresented in what's coming out in theatrical releases. And teenagers can make up a big part of box office money, just look at the Gentle Minions trend. The only thing that's there for them are movies targeted for little kids, or sort of this weird space PG-13 movies are in right now. I took a look at a few recent PG-13 movie releases, and as you can see, none of them are horror movies. Most of them are action movies, and most of them are based off of pre-existing IP. So if a 14-year-old kid wants to go see a horror movie with their friends, they're just out of luck. That's why I'm glad Tarot exists. From personal experience being a teenager, teenagers love horror movies. It's a great place to take a date so they get scared, to try and initiate physical touch. You can go with a group of your friends just to have that immersive theater experience of all being scared and laughing when your friend gets caught by a jump scare. It's great for teenagerdom, and I don't need to explain this to you because you probably have been a teenager. You have been a teenager, or you're just a teenager watching this right now. Yeah, I check my YouTube channel data. I see you guys out there. So there are very few PG-13 rated horror movies, but there is one studio that makes them, Blumhouse. They basically just have a monopoly over PG-13 rated horror movies, and so I decided to go crazy and make a little chart for everyone. This is a chart of wide release horror movies from 2023. Only 3 of them are rated PG-13. All 3 of them were made by Blumhouse, and only one of those 3 are an original idea, that being Megan. So looking at that data, Tarot is the first movie in over a year that is horror, rated PG-13, not made by Blumhouse, and is based on an original idea, and also wide release. Side note here, yes, I know Tarot was not technically an original idea, it's based on a book, but no one really knows what that book is, and compared to IP like Five Nights at Freddy's and Insidious. So specifically for this video, I'm referring to it as original, okay? There we go. Really, the only other movie that I found that fits this criteria is the limited release of Slaughterhouse. So if you know of any other PG-13 non-Blumhouse horror movies that are original ideas, let me know in the comments. Hey, this is me editing. I've realized I Saw the TV Glow also fits into this category, but I personally wouldn't describe it as a horror movie. I know others might, but just thought I'd mention it here. And you might be asking why I'm bashing on Blumhouse here. I like Blumhouse. In the early days, they were a master of what they did. But as of recently, in the past few years, all of their movies started looking the same and feeling the same with its themes. All of their movies now are about how hard it is to be a parent, stepping up as a step-parent, stepping up as an aunt to take care of a kid, stepping up as a sibling to take care of a kid. Jason Blum just loves stories about parents. But guess what? Tarot is about a group of 6 college friends who all get slashed because it's a slasher and there are no parents to be seen. And that's another thing about Blumhouse movies recently. They're all about the central family, and then creepy, scary things start happening to the family. But no one dies. There's a big, scary thing at the climax, but still, no one dies. Maybe someone sacrifices themselves, but that's about it. These PG-13 movies made by Blumhouse aren't really slashers in the same way Tarot is, and that's what makes it stand out even more. For sure, if you want to nitpick, Megan is technically a slasher. But I looked, and Megan does not have her first kill until 56 minutes into the movie. That is ridiculous. These Blumhouse movies are so slow because they just want to build up the emotional stuff about how hard it is to be a parent. And that's again ties back to the self-awareness of tarot. They know you didn't pay to see that. You paid to see people die from tarot cards, and that's what it's delivering. Like in Night Swim, I paid to see people get killed by a pool, and it didn't really deliver on that, now did it? And I shouldn't really have to explain to you why original movie concepts are important. I'm sure you watching this agree that you don't only want to see reboots and sequels in theaters. Okay, so that point is covered. To wrap up this section, I'd like to tell a personal anecdote. I was 14. My friends and I took a bus to the movie theaters. This was my first time riding public transportation. All of our parents were available to drive us, but we insisted on taking the bus because we wanted to be independent. And that night, we saw the movie Nerve. The theater was packed of teenagers, not a single parent in sight. And we gasped, we laughed, we reacted to the whole movie, and it was such a beautiful theater-going bonding experience, and to this day is my favorite theater-going experience, and looking back, it is probably one of the most formative memories of me becoming a film lover. And there are a bunch of people out there who don't even remember the schlocky, cheesy movie that was Nerve. But guess what? It's one of my favorite movies now. Not to make it all deep, but these PG-13 movies are vehicles for the next generation's artists, people. Okay? They deserve something good. So yeah. Sure, Dune 2 is rated PG-13, and I'm sure it awakened a bunch of young filmmakers. But Tarot is something you can go with to your friends, laugh at it, have a good time, and leave the theater going, oh wow, I had a good time in a movie theater, and I'm going to come back, give it more box office money, and hopefully maybe inspire a few artists along the way. And lastly, let's talk about why Hollywood needs movies like Tarot. I think it's just important for the ecosystem of the business. Tarot was made for $8 million. On its opening weekend, it grossed $6 million. And by the time of recording this, it has grossed $15 million, and that's just domestic. So it's made its money back. And guess what movie opened on the same weekend? The Fall Guy. A movie who's notoriously been in the news for not being able to make its money back. As of recording this, The Fall Guy is fairly close of breaking even if we don't account for marketing money, which there was a lot of money in the marketing. But hey, what I'm saying is horror movies make money. And that's how Blumhouse got famous. You make a movie for cheap, it gets a bunch of profit, because there is always a market for horror movies. People don't care what IP is attached. They go to be scared. They don't go to see their favorite character of their favorite series do whatever. No, they just go for the feeling. So there is always a market for horror movies. And nowadays, it seems like horror movies are basically some of the only movies to turn a profit. And obviously, I'm not saying every studio should just only make $8 million PG-13 rated horror movies. But if they did, just make one. It would make money. It would make a profit for them. And guess what? If you make a PG-13 rated horror movie that's better than Tarot, which I'll admit is not a hard thing to do, just imagine how much money that would make if it was good, well received critically. Imagine how much money that would bring in. To conclude, sure, you can say the movie Tarot is bad. You didn't like the dialogue, you didn't like the acting, you didn't like the horror, you didn't like that there was no gore because it was rated PG-13. Sure, all of that's valid, but you can't take away the fact that this movie is a unique gem that we don't really see anymore nowadays, which is a PG-13 horror movie. Hey everyone, thanks for watching this video. Like I said, I just wrapped up my senior year of college, which means I'm now unemployed, meaning I'll have even more time to make videos for you. So if you like what you saw here, hit subscribe, and I'll be churning these things out because I got nothing else to do. Give me your AdSense money. Okay.